just tell my family about the latest news during a monthly family video chat last Friday. Once everyone had done the preliminary catching up, my husband and I said we had some news, and then I said I was pregnant. My parents, sisters, and grandmother lost it, screaming and laughing and crying in joy. This is the first grandchild, great-grandchild, niece, or nephew, so they understandably had pretty dramatic reactions. Once things calmed down a bit, I asked Kate if she was still there, and she said yes, but she had to go and deal with something else. I thought it was odd, but didn't give it much further thought. Later, I get a text from Kate saying that she was going to make a pregnancy announcement then too, but that I had ruined it. I should have asked her specifically before making the announcement because she, as the firstborn, should have been the one to have the first grandchild, and that my child would get all the attention and love and hers would get second rate. I sent her a text saying that I had no clue she was pregnant and congratulating her, and that I was so sorry she didn't get to make the announcement when she wanted to. I then, possibly quite stupidly, asked her when her due date was, and Kay said, "Don't worry, you're first," and has not answered anything since. So, am I the asshole?
Story time about how he cheated on his baby mama with me. So a little background information. There was this boy, and we're going to call him John. John and I knew each other through one of our mutual friends. Well, 24/7, John would post sad quotes on his Snapchat story because him and his girlfriend had just broken up. So I decided that I was going to be Captain Save-A-Ho and be there for him, telling him it was okay and that everything happens for a reason. Well, eventually, John had developed a huge crush on me. Like, he would flirt with me 24/7, sending me all these cute emojis. And, of course, my dumbass fell for it. So after talking for a little bit, him and I started dating. Well, the one day I was on Snapchat going through his story, and he was posting a bunch of funny memes on his story, and I was just laughing until I got to the last thing that he posted on his story. It was this picture of a baby girl saying, "I can't wait to meet you from Dada." So with my crazy ass, I jumped on the phone and started cussing him out. And then he goes, "What are you talking about? That's my little sister." Like for part two. Part two about how he cheated on his baby mama with me. So like I said, when I confronted him about it, he said that it was a picture of his baby sister. Always with the Alabama shit. For what reason, I don't know. But he calls me the next day and he starts apologizing about everything. And then he decides to make a new Snapchat account and starts talking to me on there. Thinking that I was just gonna block his other account. He posts a picture of his baby mama. So at this point, my Virgo self and I were done with the bullshit. By the way, he's a Gemini, so if that doesn't explain it, I don't know what will. So I start dating my new man, and I commented on all of his posts. I guess I'm not surprised she's not the only bitch you're fucking with. And if you try lying, I'm going to spill the tea. Like, I just think that it's really funny how females just think that their men are so loyal. Even when you literally expose their man with every piece of evidence. Well, the girl who sent this in has a special message for all of us. I promise you that men ain't shit. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
Do you style your hair the same way every day? Well, there's an urban legend about a woman who always wore her hair in a bun, but for her, this habit would lead to something terrifying. This woman loved wearing her hair in a bun, but she might have taken it a bit too far. She didn't want to style her hair differently or even take out her bun to clean her hair. Whenever she took a shower, she would just wear a shower cap to make sure the water didn't mess up her bun. At night, she would sleep with a towel around her hair so the bun didn't move. After a while, she had to put hairspray in it to mask the smell. Then her scalp started feeling itchy, so she would put more hairspray in it. Even when the itching got intense, she just applied more hairspray. But her husband finally found out about how bad the situation had gotten when he woke up one day and his wife was still asleep. He tried to wake her up, but she wouldn't move. She had died in the middle of the night. The husband called the police, fearing that something unusual might have happened. But when her body was examined, they finally took out her bun. Inside her hair, they found something terrifying. They found a huge spider had gotten into her hair, made a nest, and laid eggs. When the baby spiders hatched, they bit through her skull and ate her brain.
Storytime on how I found out my friend was homeless, and at the time we were both 11, and let's call her Leah because I don't want to expose her real identity. Me and Aaliyah were really close. She always wanted to come over my house. My family liked her around because she was like another daughter. My mom loved the fact that she ate her cooking, and also I was the only girl. I had 3 other siblings that were all boys, so Aaliyah was basically my sister. Anytime I'd go outside, Aaliyah was always outside, so always had someone to play with. But one thing I will say is that she smelled funky, but I ignored it because she was a really nice person. Anyways, my birthday came up and I wanted to have a sleepover. My mom said she needed to talk to everyone's parents to make sure if they were allowed to sleep over. My mom talked to everyone's mom besides Aaliyah. I asked Aaliyah if her mom could speak to my mom, but she said she didn't need permission to sleep over. I was like, "You're lying. Where do you live?" And she's like, "Never mind. I probably can't. I'm going to just go home." I was like, "Go home?" And she was like, "Yes, I gotta go." When she left, I secretly followed her home. She walked for about 20 minutes until she came to a stop and went into a tent by a tree. I'll be back with the next part in part 2. How I found out my friend was homeless, and at the time we were both 11. So like I said earlier, I followed her home for about 20 minutes until she came to a stop and went into a tent by a tree. I was so confused because she told me she was going home. Why lie? So I went closer to the tent and shook it and then went around to open it. When I opened it, she had canned food piled in the corner with a blanket down the bottom. She had a lot of things packed into her little old tent. I asked, "What's going on? Are you going camping?" She looked down and said, "This is where I live." I was like, "How does your family live in here?" And she cried and explained that it was just her. Come to find out, she was a foster, but she ran away from home because her foster mom would bring in strange men around her and the rest of the girls that lived in the house with her. I'm not going into full details about what happened because I don't want to put too much of her business out there, but she was touched. It took a couple days for her to come out and tell me about it. She begged me not to tell anyone where she lives because she didn't want to get sent back, but I didn't feel right knowing that she lived in that tent. Come back for part 3. Part 3 on how I found out my friend was homeless, and at the time we were both 11, so I found out she was living in a tent due to her not liking the treatment she was getting by her foster parent. She told me not to tell anyone where she lived because she didn't want to go back, but I didn't feel okay knowing that she lived in that tent. So a week later, I went and told my mom everything she told me, and I was hoping she could help. I suggested to my mom maybe we could adopt her, but my mom wasn't too fond of the idea, so she called this hotline. I forgot the name, but they supposedly helped with stuff like this. She told them everything I told her, and I also spoke to them myself. Then maybe the next morning, they came into my house, and they wanted me to direct where Aaliyah was living. They found her and took her in. I was so happy that she was going to get the help she needed, but 2 months later, I didn't see nor hear from her. I asked my mom if she could call the hotline people, but she said she would, but she never did. Then maybe 2 to 3 weeks later, I see Aaliyah outside, and I get excited and run to her, and when I get closer, she had a black eye. I was like, "What happened?" And she said, "You," and walked away. After that day, I never saw her again.
Story time about how my boyfriend found out that I was cheating on him with his best friend. So a little background information. We're gonna call my boyfriend Tyler. Tyler and I had been dating since he was 16 and I was 13. And now it was my freshman year in high school and his senior year. And we're gonna call his best friend Jaden. Now there was one really big problem with Tyler and I's relationship. I was pretty much dating Jaden too. Now if you don't get what I mean by that, Jaden was there for literally every single thing that we did in our relationship. Anytime I would invite Tyler over, guess who was walking in right behind him? Jaden. Anytime that Tyler and I went on dates, guess who was there? Jaden. And there wouldn't even be another girl there. He would literally just third wheel on our dates. And I talked to Tyler about it before, and he's like, "Well, I don't know what you want me to do. He's my best friend." So fast forward, the one day Tyler and Jaden are both over my house, like for part 2. Part 2 about how my boyfriend found out that I was cheating on him with his best friend. So like I said, Jaden and Tyler are both at my house, and Tyler ends up getting a call. And it was his mom telling him that his brother had just passed away. So Tyler told Jaden that he needed to find a ride home. And after that, Tyler left immediately. Now me, I do not know what the hell to do. Because Jaden and I had never been left alone before. And it wasn't really because Tyler didn't trust us. It was more of though we didn't really have a reason to be alone together. So that night, he was supposed to wait for my parents to get home so that way they could drive him. But I ended up getting him an Uber because he said that he liked me and I did not know what to do. Fast forward, while my boyfriend is in the grieving stages, I was messing with his best friend behind his back. And the one day he had walked in on us doing spicy things. And after, he had his whole family posting things about me on Facebook saying that I was a whore and everything.